Okay, so hello everyone who's joined us. We are starting the event. Thank you everyone for joining us from Israel and from around the world. My name is Or Chaviv. I'm partner and head of ventures in Arieli Capital, and we are now starting the second event of the Ocean Tech community. So welcome everyone. This event is going to focus on the future of food from the sea, one of the fastest growing food sectors in the market. The Ocean Tech community was created by Arieli Capital and Startup Nation Central to provide a platform for collaborations and opportunities in the field of ocean-related innovation. And speaking about opportunities, here's a new opportunity that is coming up. We're launching the Miami Ocean Innovation Platform, soon to be announced by Arieli Capital, Braid Theory, Ocean Exchange, leading academic institutions, industry partners, investors, and obviously startups. The open call for startups will be launching very soon. So watch out for the Miami event coming up. All the news that I'm speaking about and the recordings of events such as this and the past event that we've done in about a month and a half ago are all published in our LinkedIn page for the community. This will be shared in the chat box for this event, okay? Now I would like to start go over the agenda for the event today. Just a second, all right. So after the opening remarks, we will go for the keynote speech delivered by Professor Mokispigen, a professor of marine science from the University of Haifa. After that, we will have a panel discussion with key stakeholders representing investors, academy, industry, and non-for-profit, discussing technology and investment trends in the field of food from the sea. After that, we will have a startup carousel presenting innovative technologies in the field of food from the sea, aquaculture, etc. We will have 4 amazing startups. The first one is Equinovo, then Bioefficiency, then Brevo, and finally, Genifeed, sorry. I think that with that, we can provide the chair to Michal from Startup Nation Central, our amazing partners in this community. Michal, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you very much. Great to have you here. Great to have everybody here. As always, I'm very excited to have this community come together, bring all these different people from around the ocean tech sector together, be it researchers, startups, investors, multinationals, anybody that has a passion and a need to look at the oceans from a more innovative perspective. Startup Nation Central, for those of you who don't know us, is a non-profit organization which is based in Israel, Tel Aviv, and our main agenda is to connect the world to Israeli innovation. We do have a strong push now towards this year, looking at the impact nation. Israel is a place providing solutions for impact and climate-related issues, and this is a great way to kind of bring all our minds together and think how we can be better at what we do. And I'm really excited always to have these events, and we are looking to create more and more content for you as time goes on. And as Or said, please keep in touch with us. Connect to the LinkedIn page, and just post whatever you're doing, whatever you're looking for. Make sure you post it up there so that everybody knows and connects to you. And for those of you that don't know, Startup Nation Finder is one of our main assets today for mapping and looking at Israeli innovation. Startup Nation Finder on Google, we map the entire Israeli innovation ecosystem from startups to multinationals that are active in Israel, all the investors, and you can search by a very simple tagging system. I'll share a little bit more about that later on when we showcase our startups. So thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to be here today. And I want to introduce, without further ado, our first speaker for today, which is Professor Mokispigen. Professor Mokispigen is a professor of aquaculture and marine biology at the Haifa University. His name appears on over 168 publications, kind of a crazy number. He's written papers about the evolution of aquaculture and many various aspects of marine biology. And we're very, very excited to have him today. Professor.
As a result of overfishing, over 90% of...
First, I would like to introduce our panel participants. We'll start from Professor Mina Teicher, a former chief scientist of Israel's Ministry of Science and head of Arieli TTO. Thank you, Mina, for joining us today. We have next Anne Carpenter from Bread Theory, CEO of Bread Theory, the California-based advisory firm. Thank you, Anne, for joining us today. Next, we have Mordi Lalouche, CEO of Aquatech, an aquaculture factory based in Ramat HaNegev. Thank you, Mordi, for joining us today. And last but certainly not least, we have Shelly Hassan, Executive Director, Startup Yard at Cove, InnovCorp, an aquaculture investment firm. Thank you, Shelly, for joining us. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for joining from different angles of the earth. We have people from California and people from different places in Israel. And this panel is obviously speaking about the future of food from the sea. Now, we all know that, and we heard also from Professor Spiegel that the future of food from the sea is not only from the sea. For example, and I'll start with Mordi, who is leading an aquaculture factory growing fish in the desert. And I would like to refer the first question to you. As someone who's leading an aquaculture factory, what type of trends do you find? What type of technologies industry representatives such as yourself are looking for, are interested in order to improve their productivity?
Okay, so first of all, let me thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. I would like just to give a few words about what we are doing here in the desert. We have a quite big facility here with a capacity of producing 2,000 tons annual of barramundi. We are growing now barramundi in the desert. And we've been running this facility for a couple of years now, and from our experience, from what we've learned through the construction phase and the production phase, I was thinking in order to bring into this panel 4 items or 4 issues that we are finding challenging to, it's quite challenging to grow fish. It's becoming more challenging to grow fish in an industrial zone or place. So first of all, we are growing the fish in what is called RAS, Recirculating Aquaculture System, industrial farm. And as you may know, one of the challenges that this industry has is that the technology for us is not still matured enough. It is still under development. So one of the things that we find very important when we're working with our technological partners is that they will be very, very transparent with us and be more involved in the facility, especially in the commissioning phase when they are introducing the technology and starting it again. So commissioning and involvement in the facility is something that we are expecting from our technological partners. Another thing that we are talking to our technology partners when they find solutions or new solutions is what is called design for manufacturability. It is very good that you have a solution which is working, but at the end of the day, you want it to work in a mass production. It can need to be more, friendly to the user. So when you design it, think about the manufacturing. So what we call design for manufacturability. Another thing that I was thinking about is the feed for the industrial farm. There are some specific requirements that we have for farms which are in a recirculating system, and one of the things that we want and we expect that the feed production industry will find solutions to our requirements, like the dust in the pellet, or the floating of the pellet and stuff like that. And the last thing that I wanted to put on the table is, maybe last but not least, is the cost of building such a facility. I don't know if how many of you know, but it is quite expensive, and the capital expenses for building recirculating aquaculture systems is quite high. So one of the things that I hope that the industry will work in the future is find ways how to reduce the cost of building new facilities. So, because I really believe that the future of aquaculture is inland, is in recirculating systems, and we must design and develop ways to make it less expensive to have new facilities coming in the future. So this is what I have for this panel.
Thank you very much, Mordi. Very interesting and very exciting to see the move from the sea into land, and especially doing the aquaculture, inland aquaculture in deserts, a very exciting field and requires a lot of technology, obviously, in order to do this, to make this move. I would like to, with that note, to move to Anne from Braid Theory. Anne, you've been working with specifically ocean-related startups and companies who are trying to break into the market, getting introduced to new partners, and really break down. Your experience, what are the main trends that you find? Do you find that over the next several past years, has it been easier or harder for ocean-related technologies to break into the market? Has been more demand? How do you see it?
Okay, so first of all, there's still a supply-demand issue, because the entrepreneurs that are working in this space, they're looking for opportunities that are scalable, but as so perhaps, the ability to get product out into the market at an affordable price that Mordi can be used, we're not there yet, right? But a couple of things that I'm seeing in trends in general is, when we started our firm about, we're going on our 6th year now, there was most of the entrepreneur and the tech entrepreneur community didn't even understand opportunities in and around ocean aquaculture space. So we were pulling entrepreneurs that were working in these adjacent sectors, whether it's construction or water and energy, or from the agriculture, ag tech sector, to bring their solutions to focus in and around ocean tech, right? So that's one trend, is just there is an exponential growth in entrepreneurs who are interested in this sector, which is great, right? And they're not just coming from the marine science side, they're coming from engineering, they're coming from their different domains of expertise, which can really help with these systems that are often, very complex engineering systems. The second thing that we're finding in trends is about really refining the business model of the product that comes through the aquaculture sector. So when we first started working with some entrepreneurs, especially like, for example, in the kelp space in Southern California, the plant-based aquaculture is something that is growing, and there's a lot of interest. The early opportunities were people thinking just about how to more systematically grow, Now we start seeing business models around, is it for biofuels? Is it for high value food additives for human consumption? Is it for micro and macroalgae for replacing fish feed? All of those are different business models, and there's different cases around that and how you grow a company to be profitable. So that's what's interesting as well, that companies are now focusing on how to find sustainable business models to go along with it. And then of course, the third thing is around efficiencies and improvements. And so you start going from a lot of data collection and sensors to really try to make sense of that data, the trends around it, how to site fish farms offshore, how to find the conditions that are going to be optimum for growing for inland, how to actually pay attention to the best efficiencies in these closed loop systems. So, that you'll see a lot of interest in companies that are looking on models and using AI for modeling and improved efficiencies and decision making. And then, of course, there's all the other ways that Professor Spiegel was talking about these different things about, synth bio and different types of the pharmaceutical industry and additional. So that's still, very early stage and still in the research, but a lot of explosive interest. And then I think the challenge on all of this is what Morty was saying is how do we sort of finance and get these solutions from sort of the one-off solving to designing for manufacturability, right? And so that requires, the entrepreneurs are seeing the same challenges as the clean tech sector, right? Of that valley of death. There's some initial investment, non-dilutive government investment, but then you need to transition to funding growth. So I'll stop there and let others speak.
Thank you very much for that insight. We spoke about research, and I would like to segue this question to Professor Mina Teicher, who's a lot of experience in commercializing IP coming out of research institutes and academic institutes. And Mina, as you obviously know, we have a lot of research that comes out of academic institutes that has to do with oceans, but there is a huge, let's call it valley of death between academic research and commercialization, going out to the market, specifically speaking about ocean research and trends and food from the sea. How do you see it, the process of commercialization of IP coming out of academia?
Sorry. As you all know, the mandates given to the universities by the public who finance the universities is not driven by the market. It's driven by expanding the human knowledge and understanding nature better. The individual researcher is driven by his passion to discover more things, and by his criticism, by all what makes a scientist a scientist. Nevertheless, the boom of ocean tech, as you described it, as was described before by the previous panelist, is not invisible at the university and is touching the people, and then the people are moving into research. It's a blue sky research. They can do whatever they want. But as they see what's going on outside, then they are driven to go into these directions. If we look at the table that Mokispigen gave us before, then we see all the steps that still need to be done. So we do have all the different basic research at the universities that with additional effort could be turned into a product and then into commercialization. But we in the university, they have a benefit over the private R&D that they have time. So they are not forced, to bring a product within 1 year, and then they can do research that needs much longer vision. So if you need to cultivate new species that can be farmed, sometimes this cultivation, as I once heard from Spiegel, like the grouper, it takes years of cultivation. So it's not easy to do it in a company. You can do it at universities, and very important to remember also the government-owned research institutes. Because if we have by the market only research that would give a product within a year, 2, maximum 3 years, at the university with their academic freedom and blue sky, they can take 10 years. Government-owned research institute have the mandate to satisfy governmental duties, to go over governmental duties, and government-owned fresh water and good air and food. Government has the duty to make sure that the population has enough food. And all of you know better than me that food from the sea is the future of food, especially if we're talking about protein. So this food from the sea can be cultivated in the desert, but it's still food from the sea on salt water and not on fresh water. So the combination of academic research in the universities and public-oriented research in the research institute like Machon Vulcani or Malchi in Eilat, the combination of the two gives the ideas that later can be commercialized, and there are many ideas like that. It including the genetic modification that was mentioned before. It's included sustainability. It's including producing different kind of foods and the systems in the sea, the cages that are being done. So it's also engineering. It's a very interdisciplinary field, and I'm sure that with this boom of ocean tech outside, you will see more and more science done at the university that can be very quickly transformed into technology and into a product. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mina. One interesting trends and ways to look at how governments help to reduce risk for private investors is what happens in Israel right now, when the Israel Innovation Authority is coming out with new tenders offering to participate in the investment as investors for early stage for academic commercialization, to help bring the IP outside of academia into the market and participate, reduce risk to private investors. And with that, I want to segue into our last but not least speaker, Shelley, from the angle of investors. Obviously, as was mentioned in this panel, we need a lot of capital in order to take food from the sea innovation or food-related innovations into the market. It's a long process. Mina and Mordi and Ann all refer to the fact that this is not an easy or fast developing market. To grow fish or to prove concepts takes time. So from your angle of investors, how do we see the next step of entering the trend of food from the sea?
Perfect. Thank you for the introduction, and hello to everybody from Canada. I'll just give a little bit of background on myself to provide some context. I work at an organization called Innovacorp. We're based in Nova Scotia, Canada, which is on the East Coast. We invest in life science, clean tech, ocean, and life science. We have about 75 million in pre-seed and seed funds. And we work with companies at all the different stages, from idea to discovery to angel pre-seed. So I totally agree with what Nina had been talking about, helping researchers, because they really do have some good tech. At InnovaCorp, we are very interested in aquaculture because it's a $1 billion opportunity. Market size is over 200 billion. And if I'm going to talk about kind of main trends from the seed that we look at and we think that are investable, definitely the rise of aquaculture. Stat that I read that says today about half of all global seafood production for human consumption is farmed, and that's expected to rise by 60% by 2030. So land-based aquaculture is definitely an opportunity that we're looking at. So what the future looks like. So I'm going to talk more about solutions. So predictive and prevention solutions we're looking at. So systems that prevent contamination, data collection and monitoring, minimizing the risk of disease, anything that can increase productivity. It could even be polyculture, fish farming, multiple fish species, management solutions, things that will help with feed optimization, sustainable feedstock that was mentioned in the keynote, inland aquaculture systems that improve management, waste is a big thing. Someone was telling me in Nova Scotia, a local was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to transport their waste from their aquaculture farm. Monitoring solutions, another thing, like real-time information on species, their health, water, understanding the complex interaction between nutrients, bacteria, and cultured organisms, preventing harmful algae blooms, the whole traceability and transparency on supply chain and reporting of illegal and unregulated fishing. So that can include like big data, blockchain, AI solutions, underwater drones, GPS, sonar, digital sensors, biotechnology, and other things that are interesting, kind of that whole digital administration, sustainable materials for the aquaculture environment, advanced hydrodynamics, how to handle the flow in aquaculture. I'm on the East Coast. We have a big capture fishery industry here. So for that, like alternative bait is really important. The reduction of products that reduce bycatch, the novel use for fish and waste, improved systems, real-time monitoring, mammal avoidance. So I didn't actually come out with products, but solutions that address those problems are things that we will look at. And we would work with companies even from the idea stage, helping them develop their technology. You know, having pilot partners is really important too. So making the connection. So those are things from an investment side, I think, that are opportunities.
Thank you very much, Shelley. We have limited time, but I think we have time for maybe one or two questions and from the audience, and anyone in the panel feels he or she wants to reply, please do. One question refers to, do you see successful B2B companies that are focused solely on seaweed farming? It seems like most startups in this field are B2C. So if anyone wants to pick it up.
Well, you know, I mean, I can talk to that. Certainly, the end thinking around, you know, direct to consumer, B2C, is often the way people think about it when they're looking direct at a fish farm or or an inland aquaculture. We see some things, some, high value shrimp, sustainably raised, etc. But when you start looking at some of these other opportunities like colorants and food additives and pharmaceuticals, those are direct B2B plays. And there's a huge amount of opportunity. Biofuels, just really all of the technology that supports the systems that Professor Spiegel was talking about. These are all B2B plays. So yeah, definitely B2B is just as strong, if not stronger. And oftentimes when entrepreneurs start thinking about it, they think about themselves as a customer. So that's why they often start in a B2C. And it's up to us as the advisors to help them with understanding the opportunities in the business space.
In Atlantic Canada, there's a company called Change Biochemistry. Is taking extracts from seaweed and kelp to sell to businesses.
If I can add here, my name is Simchen, I'm from Aquinovo, just adding another comment on Anne's answer to that. When you look on the aquaculture market, it's very fragmented. And if you as a startup would like to consider a B2C model, you better think on how you get those resources, because it's a fragmented, both geographically, culturally, and a lot of other issues.
Thank you. We have about 5 more minutes, so we'll take another question. What kind of monitoring regulations are in place for example, discharge of chemicals such as phosphate in various countries, or anything regarding to regulations? Obviously, we know aquaculture requires, dealing with water and recirculation, just as Mordi referred to. So you have to deal with a lot of regulations. So if anybody wants to discuss regulations and aquaculture, that would be great.
So I can talk about California, which is a highly regulated environment. And part of the answer is that's why we have virtually no offshore aquaculture, because of the high restrictions, not only for the permitting process, but the California State Water Board regulates any kind of discharge of water. So the water actually has to become cleaner than what the input comes in. So, that certainly has stopped a lot of opportunities. I think then when you look at, in terms of regulation, you also have to look at what the best available technologies are available, which inform the regulation. So as you get more better monitoring systems, then regulatory bodies are more open to understanding the ability to implement solutions, because they know they can monitor, for example, like you mentioned about phosphate sensors and algal blooms.
Okay, thank you very much. By the way, anyone in the audience, because we are getting some responses, how do I address some of the panelists or some of the speakers? Please feel free. We are sharing right now our email, and feel free to email us, specifically Ella from our team, and we're happy to introduce and connect people, as well as please connect to our LinkedIn community page, which is also shared. We'll share again the link for that community that will help you connect and follow up with everyone in this event or future events as well. So with that, I would like to, Mina, I think you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wonder about California. On one hand, they regulate, so you cannot have farming offshore of California, but are they consuming farmed food from the sea that are being in other countries? There is some kind of ethical issue.
We do have some interesting things, although I will say, Mina, there's a sea change in how people are considering how we actually grow and support the aquaculture sector in California. And our firm is doing a lot in that space, but I agree completely with your overall comments.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that that would be a way to wrap up this beautiful panel with people from all over the industry, all the way from academic and research through industry, through market opening and advisory, all the way to investments. And I want to thank this beautiful panel. Thank you very much. It was very insightful, and we are going to take this to the next level with Michal and hear the pitch event with the startups. So Michal, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That was very, very interesting. And I think it just highlights how many opportunities we have in the whole ocean area for infrastructure startups and startups in the areas of also in interesting finance ways to bring startups to the threshold of being successful in this area. So I think this just opened a lot of areas that we should be thinking about and collaborating and connecting on, and kind of great topics for us to think about all as we come up. So what we're going to showcase today is 4 startups that are lovely startups that are actually talking about a lot of points that came up during the discussions here. And also, I just wanted to share with you our platform, which is Startup Nation Finder, which actually is a complete reflection of what is happening in the Israeli ecosystem. So this is just a way to search. You can search any topic that you'd like to look for example, just aquaculture as an example. And you can actually look at a whole tag of all the various companies that fall under this category, Israeli startups, with one of the founders being Israeli. So we're showcasing today 4 of these, and obviously there's many more. So look for them and make connections. So first up, I'd like to introduce Aquinovo, and Nissim Chen, who you've just met, who's the founder and the CEO. Aquinovo develops proprietary non-hormonal, non-GMO specialty feed additives. And he will be telling you a lot more about the company and sharing more information. So Nissim, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Michal. Let me share the screen. Just a moment. Do you see it?
Yes, we can.
Let me just put it on presentation mode so you'll see it better. Okay. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning out there in the United States and Canada. I'm Nissim Chen, founder and CEO of Aquinovo, and it is my pleasure to be here today and introduce the company. And thank you again, Michal, for the invitation to do so. We in Aquinovo are in the business of boosting fish yields. And Professor Mokispigen has just delineated very nicely why is it important. But with your permission, I would start again with some obvious facts that maybe most of the audience here knows, but it is important to reiterate them and to understand what is the drive for our activities and basically the drive for all other companies in the field as well. And the numbers are pretty obvious. We start with a known fact that 10 billion people by 2050 are needed to be fed using current planet resources. That's the paradigm. That's the main issue. It comes, of course, with change in diet and change of lifestyle and so on, but that's the main hard number. And fish are an increasingly important factor in this system. It is a healthy food. It serves as a primary animal protein source for 1 billion people worldwide, and it's about 20% of animal protein source for additional 3 billion people. In fact, fish consumption per capita has been constantly growing, and it is now over 20 kilograms. And what is interesting, it requires far less resources than any other farmed animal. And due to the depletion of marine sources, aquaculture now provides more than half of the fish we are all eating, and is projected to provide about 60% of the fish we are all eating by 2030. So this is, of course, good news, but it comes with a new, evolving, bigger challenge, which is how to produce more fish with same or even less resources. This is the challenge that Aquinovo is addressing. Professor Spiegel has outlined several ways to do it, and I would like to present today our way of doing it, which is developing innovative, out-of-the-box peptide-based feed additives that enable the growth of more fish with less feed. This is a technology that was licensed from the Hebrew University. The company was established in 2015 based on this technology. And we kept developing it to the point where we are towards the completion of our fish product. So since feed is the main cost element of fish farms, this means that higher revenues can be generated with less production cost. So that means higher profit for the farms. But beyond that, there is an immense, clear, positive environmental and social impact. Because when we generate more fish in the aquaculture system, we reduce pressure on whitefish, we promote food and job security, and thus mitigate both poverty and hunger. We also contribute to the climate action because less feed means less greenhouse gas emissions, less carbon footprint. Another point is that by using our proprietary peptide production system, which I'll touch upon in a minute, we will also be able to reduce emissions maybe in additional industries that will be using this technology for the production of technologies for other fields such as cosmetics, nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals, and so on. So this is what we are doing, but how do we do all of this? What we have done, our technology is based on short proprietary peptides, mentioned here as AN peptides, that are designed to be administered in the feed and compete with endogenous peptides in the gastrointestinal tract of the fish that are involved in gut physiology, mainly motility, gut motility, digestion, and immune system. So doing that, we receive as an outcome a significant improvement in both growth and feed utilization, mainly FCR, namely FCR, leading to higher fish biomass with less feed. In order to do that, we need in parallel to have an additional technology that was again licensed from the university and further developed that enables an extremely efficient peptide production system that would be price-wise be able to fit the commodity that we are talking about here, which is fish feed. So we are planning to exploit this technology both for our core business, but also for the synthesis of additional peptides for other industries. Our fish product target tilapia, the second largest farmed fish consumed by humans. And what you see here is an example of the results we generated in large-scale studies in Asia using tilapia mixed population that includes both females and males. And in this case, those fish received our peptide in the feed for the earliest 3 months and then kept growing on regular feed for additional 7 months. And at the end of that, which is about 800 grams, which is the market weight, we could demonstrate significant improvement in average weight, as you can see in the picture, and significant improvement in the FCR. This, of course, leads to an increase in profit that is calculated in the case of tilapia to up to 52%. We see also higher fillet rate, and we see better size distribution. Bigger fish, more bigger fish, and less small fish. And we also demonstrated that there is no effect on fish health and that there is no accumulation of the fish, both in the water, of the peptide, both in the water and in the fish. This is a product that we are now at late stage development. We are partnered with Archer Daniel Midlands, ADM, for the development of this product, and we are expected to submit regulatory files in the next year in various territories. And then it's important to mention here that the technology is a platform technology. We have already initiated additional studies with additional products targeting other fish species, both low value and high value.
Nisim, so we need to wrap up.
To wrap it up, we have a disruptive technology for growing markets, providing non-GMO, non-hormonal solutions to increase fish yields, farm profits, food and job security. And this is the end of my presentation today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nisim. Thank you very much for that. Next up, we have Eli Shubi, the CEO of Water System Treatments of Bioefficiency, which do water system treatments for aquaculture. And Eli, the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Let me share my
great.
screen. Okay, I would like, can you see my screen? Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can. It looks great.
Okay, so by the time, before I start, I would like to recommend the excellent fish that Mordi is growing. I had a chance to taste them. They are really delicious. Great barramundi from the Negev, the desert. I'm Eli, I'm the CEO of Bioefficiency, and what I would like to present here is a zero discharge water treatment technology for aquaculture. Bioefficiency was established in 2013, and in 2018 we acquired a new technology that was developed in the Technion. It's a disruptive technology to the extent that it totally changes the way we believe water for fisheries should be treated. We speak to lots of companies, and in this traditional and conservative market, it's very difficult for them to accept it, but I'll try and convince you that we have the right solution. This slide is obvious. I think it came up in most of the talks so far. The world needs more fish, and probably the most efficient way to do it is with RAS, even though I feel much less greener after Professor Spiegel's presentation, but nevertheless, this is the market that we live in. When we talk about RAS, this is a general overview of a system. We have the fish tank. They produce CO2, NH4, ammonia, and solids. And the first stage is removing the solids this way or another, then a nitrification biofilter, which is a place where bacteria grow, and then they digest the ammonia. Sometimes you can also see denitrification to remove the nitrate, CO2 removal, disinfection unit, not always, but in advanced systems, obviously, yes, and oxygen enrichment system. And as much as biofilter is being used today, it suffers from severe inherent problems. The first one is it's not stable. It's unstable by nature. You have another animal to feed. It requires oxygen, certain temperature. We want to grow fish, not bacteria. It's not very efficient, to say the least, in low temperature water. Thus, it requires very large footprint. In normal system, you would have different vendors for different systems. Disinfection would be one system, nitrification another system, denitrification another system. And one of the major problems in RAS today is off flavor. No one really knows when it comes and to what extent and how to avoid it. Efficiency, this is how we call the technology, is a electrochemical water treatment technology. We move out of the biology world into the industrial world. And we believe that this technology overcomes all the drawbacks of a biological system. That's a general overview. Instead of all the systems that you saw here, there's one system fully controlled that does it all. It's fully controlled, so no instability by nature. It works perfectly well in cold water, just as in warm water. And since the market, maybe biggest segment in the next 10 years would be salmon, being able to work in cold water is extremely important. It has a much smaller footprint. It does all in one stage, and it has no off flavor whatsoever. Moreover, it's cost effective. It costs less in OPEX and less in CAPEX. I won't go into the details. I'd like to stay within the 5 minutes that I received, but what we do, we take saline water, we implement current. The current actually creates chlorine in the water. The chlorine immediately oxidizes the ammonia, so we don't go through the normal biological so-called stages of nitrification and then nitrated nitrate. And then on top of it, the chlorine disinfect the water very, very strongly. So we end up with a process. We have a very clean water. Someone was talking here about discharging to the sea water that are cleaner than what we receive. This is what we can do here. Very clean water with no ammonia, and they go back. Everything is being fully controlled. I think someone was talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. The system would be able in the next phase to study the situation, because every RAS is different, and then adopt the cycle specifically for that environment, and then providing a more efficient solution. This application this technology can be used in many applications, starting from live seafood holding. We showed a drastic increase in the length of safe holding. Obviously, transportation, the same, much longer with much higher survival rate. There's a very big problem of live transportation, of sea transportation with bellboats of salmons.
Any time is up.
Okay.
Do you want to just finish your last word?
Yeah, maybe one more, just to give a credit to the academia. It has been published in serious magazines, and was developed by these two gentlemen, Professor Ori Lav from the Technion and Dr. Raz Ben Asher from the Technion as well. Thank you very much.
Great. And how do people contact you? Do you want to just put out your last slide?
Yeah.
Great.
Name and email. LinkedIn, anywhere.
We've had good feedbacks about your name as well. So compliments on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eli. That's wonderful. And thank you for kind of jumping on board with us today. Next on with us is Yonatan Golan, the CEO and founder of Brevel. Brevel create affordable microalgae cultivation. So Yonatan, we spoke a lot about microalgae, and also Professor Spiegel. So I think you'll be covering a little bit of that type of innovation here.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Yonatan. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Brevel. And actually, I'm actually vegan, so I don't want to increase the productivity of fish production, but actually reduce our need and reduce the stress on the oceans by providing an alternative for our dependence on our oceans and seas. So really, with the current growth rate of humanity, we must find solutions to sustain our population, both in terms of food, but also of sustainable ingredients for a variety of different industries that are around us. And we must find solutions that are truly sustainable and truly scalable on global scales. And many experts and companies are looking at microalgae as a possible solution, as a holy grail for this big challenge. These are microscopic organisms that grow exponentially fast, require very little resources, and are just packed with protein and a variety of different ingredients from many different industries. And if we look at protein, just as an example of this huge potential, so compared to any other protein source, microalgae are just completely off the charts in the amount of protein that can be produced per land area. And they require only a fraction of the resources other protein sources need. This is what the future of our food should and will look like. It will be healthy, sustainable, and on global scales. And as I said, this is true for protein. This is also true for many ingredients and bio-based solutions for industries such as agriculture, cosmetics, nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals, and the list just goes on. Then the obvious question is, if this is so amazing, so where are they? Why don't we yet eat microalgae for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And why don't we see microalgae in every product all around us? And the sad truth is that this amazing potential has a very high cost and quality barrier. At $100 per kilogram, they're simply not relevant for mass production. The current outdoor systems, which are open ponds and closed reactors, are very labor intensive, suffer from contaminations, produce inconsistent quality at relatively low yields, and result in very high costs. Another option is to use dark fermentation, similar to how you grow yeast using only sugar as a carbon source, and then yields are orders of magnitudes higher, and the cost is significantly reduced by more than 90%. But in the absence of light, almost all of the qualities and benefits and ingredients that microalgae produce are simply lost in the process. Now, combining sugar with light is a very challenging engineering problem having to do with contaminations and sterilization, and has been attempted many times in the past. And this is exactly where we solved the barrier. We developed the first industrial scale indoor reactors, which combine sugar for the fermentation process with a high concentration of internal illumination. We cracked and patented the key enabling elements that are crucial for the operation of the system. And today we produce affordable microalgae rich with all of the ingredients and nutrients that need light to be produced. We increased the yields per land by a factor of 200 compared to outdoor systems, and reduced the cost of ingredients by a factor of more than 90%. This is a paradigm shift. We stop seeing microalgae as an agricultural crop, but instead as a high-tech advanced industry. And this opens doors to many new markets and industries where microalgae have only been a potential until today. Now it becomes a reality. In light of our achievements and potential impact, we received many awards and recognitions. The most significant is from the European Union through Horizon 2020 with a combined grant and equity investment, which is we're a participant in the first pilot where the EU are also going to join as investors in the company. And we're already partnering with large global companies in developing different ingredients for different industries. The most significant one is Givaudan, the largest fragrance and flavor producer globally, and are very strong in the food ingredients market. Together with them, we're developing a novel ingredient for the food industry based on microalgae that needs light to be produced at affordable costs. I should say we are a B2B ingredient supplier. We produce unique ingredients for different industries. We're now in the process of scaling up our operational capacity towards building the first factory in Israel, which will provide different ingredients for different customers and can then be duplicated to additional sites worldwide together with our partners, wherever production is needed or closer to the resources that are needed. Now, I don't have time to go into depth in a lot of the markets or in a lot of the verticals, but of course, the largest market we're aiming for is the food industry, both with alternative protein and with functional ingredients. We aim to be the main ingredient supplier for the next Beyond Fish product that will be developed. Microalgae are an excellent candidate for providing the sensory requirements for fish and seafood. On the way, we're targeting two low-hanging fruit. The first is a feed supplement for the salmon industry to improve the sustainability and health of the fish in the salmon industry, and a health supplement for human nutrition. We're currently in the midst of our Series A round. We're already secured $2.6 million, and we're looking for the next 7.5 to close to finalize the round. We have many investors already engaged with soft commitments, and we're still looking for a lead investor who will take the lead for the round and complete it. And of course, we have the European Union also with matching equity investment. Thank you for this opportunity, and I hope to work together on making our oceans more sustainable for everyone. Thank you.
Jonathan, thank you for that. Just stick around for a moment. There's a question here about where's the sugar coming from for your process.
So it depends on the specific strain. We're using either glucose or acetate or glycerol, depending on the specific strain. We're using standard industrial glucose or other sugars for that. Yeah.
And also we have a question from Jonathan that is asking astaxanthin.
Yes, astaxanthin is one of the products. We are able to achieve the cost levels of synthetic astaxanthin and actually replace it with a more sustainable and more healthy solution for the fish industry.
Sounds great. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for that. That was very, very interesting. And last up is Genofeed. Genofeed is actually a sustainable alternative to extruded fish feed. This will be presented by Yair Fesher, the founder and CEO, who could not join us today. So as he is unwell, so he's actually recorded his pitch for us, and I'll be sharing his video for you. And this is our last pitch for today. Sure. Sorry, I'll just share that again.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yair Fecher. I'm the founder and CEO of Genuine. I'd like to thank Michal and Or for inviting me to present in this wonderful event. Genuine is an Israeli-based biotech startup. We have developed a natural, sustainable, whole insect-based feed for aquaculture. So as you can see in the graph on the right, we recently passed our seafood is now sourced through fish farming than from wild catch. And this is due to the increasing demand for seafood and the depleting wild fish stocks. The problem is that the primary input in aquaculture is fish feed, which is currently based on a very destructive practice. An estimated 13 million tons of pelagic fish are caught in the oceans every year to be processed into fish meal, the main ingredient in fish feed. So by now you've probably already heard of insect protein. Black soldier fly is nature's ultimate recycling machine. The larvae of the fly feed on organic wastes and grow 6,000 times in just 10 days, turning organic byproducts into high-quality protein and fat. However, the challenge is that refined insect meal alone is expensive, and in addition, it is only an ingredient in the complex and capital-intensive fish feed extrusion process. So unlike other companies that focus on the black soldier fly and extract the protein from the larvae and turn it into fish meal replacement, we do something completely different. We use the natural body of the larvae and optimize it so the fish eat the insect whole and intact and get all the nutrients they need. How do we do it? We enrich and optimize the larvae with certain fatty acids, including omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, amino acids, vitamins and minerals, tailored to the needs of the fish species that we feed. Our solution is PCT patent protected. So we focused on developing feed for carnivorous fish species, and over the last 2.5 years, we conducted feed trials with rainbow trout in the Dan fish farms in the Galilee and barramundi feed trials in Volcani Institute. Here you can see the results of the feeding trial we conducted with rainbow trout. Fish that were fed with our product grew faster and on less feed. We're looking for collaborators interested in partnering with us on developing additional versions of our product for more fish species. That's it for this concise presentation. Thank you for your attention.
So that was Yair from Genofeed. And I think that concludes our startup carousel.
Thank you very much, Michal, for this carousel of innovation and new technologies. A very interesting selection and variety of technologies, and also nice practical stages of the startup. So I enjoyed very much listening to you. I'm sure there will be some follow-ups after this event, so we'll make sure to make the connections between everybody and you, or if you have specific introduction you would like to see, we would like to assist you with that. So with that being said, I want to just say thank you to the participants, obviously to all the startups that participated today, Equinovo and Bioefficiency, Breville and Genofeed. Thank you very much for presenting. I want to thank our speakers, Ocean Exchange, Bread Theory, University of Haifa, Aquatech, and InnovCorp. Thank you very much for the insightful information. And with that, I want to also say thanks to Michal and our wonderful partners at Startup Nation Central. We're doing an amazing job with us and also with the entire Israeli ecosystem. I want to say thank you to Arieli Capital with the amazing team in Israel and in the US. We have 4 main verticals and we would love to do a lot of different things and partnerships with each one of them. Arieli Capital and ShareNet, our family office investment arm, which is positioned in New York. Our ventures arm, which works with amazing partners, strategic partners to lead incubators and accelerators and pipeline and deal flow creation, as well as with Professor Mina Teicher and our TTO academic commercialization platform and our digital platform working with amazing fintech solutions and digital solutions as well, such as Smart Tag and more. So with that being said, I want to wrap up.
Just a personal thank you as well to Ella, who's been behind the scenes, and Omer Maron from my team, who are actually getting all of this done. There's always somebody behind the people that are speaking. So a personal thank you to them too.
The people behind the scene that make sure that everything works and make everything tick. So thank the amazing team, Ella, and obviously the Startup Nation Central team. Thank you very much. And with that, I want to wrap this event up. And I don't know about you, but I've developed some appetite after this event for amazing things. So thank you very much all around the world, all the panelists, all the speakers. And we'll see you soon. Sign up to our LinkedIn community page. We'll talk to you. We'll follow up.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, organizers.